Hey, Stephen Smith here, and I believe that I have a word from the Lord for you today. Did you know that you're a superhero? I know you're saying to yourself, come on, Steve, really? I don't have a cape, I don't have glasses, I don't have really cool masks, I don't have a really cool car. But no, you really are a superhero, and in fact, God placed you here to defeat evil in this world. Here are a few scriptures to help you understand what I'm talking about. The first one is 2 Corinthians 10, 4 through 5. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty in God for the pulling down of strongholds, casting down arguments of every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, bringing every thought into captivity to the obedience of Christ. If we read this and we understand it properly, then we have to understand that the weapons of our warfare are designed for us not only to defeat things in this physical world, but also in the spiritual world as well. Sometimes they're thoughts that we have in our own minds, but they also include evil spirits and things like that that are out there. It may sound a little bit weird to you, but this is all biblically based, and trust me, this all makes sense once you line it all up with the Word of God. If you take a look at Joshua 6, 1 through 20, you see how Joshua fought the Battle of Jericho. It really amazes me with the fact that when the Israelites had to go into the Promised Land, what they were faced with was an enemy that was behind a mighty wall. They were behind a stronghold. And how do you think God told them to tear down that stronghold? Well, with their own voices, with their mouths. They didn't beat on it with battering rams. They didn't use catapults. They didn't do anything, but they walked around it 7 times and then shouted at the end of it, and it came down, and God delivered them into their hands. Well, the same thing applies here, believe it or not. If you go to Matthew 17:20 and you read this in context, you'll see that what Jesus was talking about was actually casting out of evil spirits. Matthew 17:20 says you don't have enough faith. This was Jesus' response to the disciples when they said, Lord, how come we couldn't cast out this demon? Well, Jesus' response was that, I tell you the truth, if you have faith, even as small as a mustard seed, you could say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it would move. Nothing would be impossible. And you'll notice here that Jesus tells them to use their voices. And in fact, every time that Jesus and or the disciples or the apostles or anyone else in the Bible dealt with an evil spirit, what they did was they spoke to it. They told it to shut up and they told it to leave. That was it. They didn't sit there and argue with it. They didn't sit there and try and get people to sneeze 7 times. None of that crazy stuff. They told it to shut up and leave. And you won't find any other way of getting rid of evil spirits in the Bible itself. So Ephesians 3:10 helps us to wrap this all up. It tells us that God's purpose in all of this is to use the church to display his wisdom in its rich variety to all the unseen rulers and authorities in heavenly places. Does that term sound familiar? You're going to see it a little bit later on in the 6th chapter, but God uses us and the testimony in this physical realm to work against the spiritual forces in evil places, even those forces that are in higher or authorities in heavenly places. In Ephesians 6:12, this is what we see. Paul tells us, for we are not fighting against flesh and blood enemies, but against evil rulers, authorities of the unseen world, against mighty powers in this dark world, and against evil spirits in heavenly places. Your battle is not against the people who come up against you, it's the evil forces that are controlling them. If you can cast out those evil forces, if you can come against them with good, if you can show the power of God in your life to be able to overcome the obstacles and the difficulties in your life, then what you're doing is you're actually testifying to these rulers and principalities and the dark forces that God's wisdom and God's knowledge is that much better than anything else they could ever come up with. Well, here's God's word that I believe that he gave to me for you today. I placed you here to help defeat evil in this world. Although my son was victorious on the cross, it means nothing unless you accept what he has done and use it to advance the kingdom and his own victory in your life. Your actions will be a testimony to both the physical and the spiritual world. Make it count. Well, I hope that this word would actually help you to be able to defeat the evil in your life and to hopefully defeat the evil in other people's lives as well. Feel free to share this post on Facebook. Feel free to go to our website at awfg.today and you can see a transcript of everything that we talked about. Well, God bless you, and I hope to hear from you soon.